it really is insane that you, as a little girl, came into this gigantic environment of sitcom with Warner Brothers, Lorimar Studios, with some real comedy pros.
Yeah.
And you kind of stole the show. Because I remember the first table reading that we did, I remember walking out and Stamos was panicking. He was panicking. He
was like legit.
We got to get rid of her. She's the star of the show. I got to get out of this, So he was like panicking. I'm like, and I'd never been on a sitcom. I'd guested on sitcoms, but I was never like one of the pieces of a sitcom. I'm like, what do I do? Do I tell him okay? Do I?
Right.
What do I do here?
Am I supposed to agree with you or not?
Yeah. But
am I on board with getting a 5-year-old fired or not?
Yeah. But my thought was, this is great because being a comedian, I'm like, that is another important part of the puzzle that these kids can get the jokes.
Right.
And she's nailing it. So I was fine with it. I was great with it.
I will say, like, having a natural affinity towards comedy and towards stand-up and towards the sort of humor that I do, but also like just the quickness with which I'm always looking for the joke.
Yeah.
As a kid, I'm just always looking for the joke, and to grow up in such an incredibly comedy rich and comedy history rich environment.
Yeah.
Around comedians like you and Bob, and then all of the people that you guys introduced me to, Binder and like Bill Burr, and all of these amazing, Jeff Ross, like amazing comedians that have been like family friends through so much of knowing you guys. And like, I always am so thankful for that, because it has really shaped such a huge part of my personality. And
I mean, to have that ability is really a gift. I mean, it really, really is. Mark Sandrowski, our stage manager in season 2, and now he's, we were talking about that, like, but for us, our group that we were around was comedy albums. So we would listen to Richard Pryor and George Carlin and Cosby records, and that was, what
I grew up watching specials.
That's what we had.
Much to my mom's probably disappointment,
Yes.
Eddie Murphy was in there somewhere.
And again, it's starting to make more sense. Your mom, but let's talk about her for a second. She wasn't your typical stage mom. Your mom is lovely. Janice is so good. But here's the thing. Even being around that showbiz environment, she really kept you grounded.
For sure.
She kept you so grounded. So I just, I want to know, I guess it was probably, it kind of had to be a conscious decision that she made, like, you're going to be around a professional environment with a lot of adults, but you were always like prepared and ready. And
I mean, my mom,
that had to be your mom.
My mom, oh yeah, for sure, because I'm never prepared or ready for anything usually on my own. But no, my mom was, both my parents came from very normal backgrounds. I mean, my dad's story of being born in post-depression Oklahoma and moving out here, and Sam. But my dad worked,
good guy,
just salt of the earth.
Yep.
Worked the entire time I was on a television show at a gypsum plant. Like, that was just what he did. He got up, he went to work. My mom was a stay-at-home mom before that, and she just took on the job of driving me back and forth every day.
Yeah.
But we didn't live in LA. It was show business, and being on camera was never something that either of my parents wanted for themselves, which is something that you see a lot in this business, which is the typical stage parent of they somehow want the fame or the recognition, or it's something that they wanted to do when they were young. And my parents just were not like that. They saw in me that I loved it.
Can I just add this, and correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah.
They didn't seem really impressed with the whole environment.
No.
They were there for you.
Exactly.
And when they were there, like your dad would come on show night.
Right.
And I would just talk to him because he was just like a normal guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's kind of nice just talking to a normal guy.
Yeah.
And, he wouldn't ask me like, how's the show going?
No.
He'd be like, you still playing hockey?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I am. Thanks for asking.
No, my parents were, I'll never forget going to an event at the White House that I got invited to. My mom and I went, and my dad could have gone, and he was like, "Why would I want to do that?" And we're like, "I just okay," But that I grew up with such grounded, normal parents, and I went to public school in Orange County.
Yeah.
Not at a school where I was the only kid on TV at my public school in elementary school, but that was great, and I have consistently kind of kept that part of my life. Most of the people that I spend time with on a daily basis aren't necessarily in the business. I like my space away from it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. How was it going to school, regular school, and then going to school on set, and then did you go back to regular school then after we were done?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
It was really hard. It was really hard. I got bullied a lot. I mean, I was, in elementary 5 to 13. So it's all of your elementary and middle school years that was what I was doing. And strangely enough, though, because when I started school, I started kindergarten on the show and was there for 2 days and went into first grade. And I never had any experience of school outside of also being on the show.
Right.
So after a couple seasons when we worked out our schedule and I could go to school in the morning and then go to rehearsal in the afternoon and then 2 days a week I did, on school set.
Yeah.
It was, I realize now, a great balance for me because I definitely had ADHD and I needed that I needed that singular focus, but I also needed the outlet of normal kids and that environment and just being a kid.
Yeah.
But it was hard. I mean, middle school, God, I remember, getting just punched in the face for no reason. Somebody walk by, throw an apple at your head from across the quad, write horrible things on your locker, steal your stuff. I had a teacher once tell me, you can be an actor, you can be a student, but you can't do both in my class. And he wouldn't give me my work.
Wow.
And
oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah. And I, being who I am one of those people that's like, oh no, you're not going to win. I'm going to stay right here. And that's who and how I've always been is no one is going to take away from me the opportunities that I want to have in my life. And that was one that I wanted to have, was to have a normal kid experience. And so if 4 or 5 kids were going to be idiots, I wasn't going to let them take that away from me.
And was it because they knew the show? The kids would watch
they were obsessed with the show.
Yeah.
And, kids my first day at any new school, and I had gone to several different schools, but my first day at any new school, it was the entire class just following you around.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, desperately I just want to
be... No autographs, please.
Well, no, it was, as a kid, I just remember thinking, I just desperately wanted to be a beige wall. You know what I mean? Just, please let me blend in. I don't want to stick out. But then also kind of having to reconcile with that in real time as a kid and be like, well, am I going to give up or do I keep going and go, no, and that has, I really think, shaped a huge part of me.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And just kind of who I've always been. And I just never, I was like, I'm not going to let anyone make me give up.